I got your intro music playing now.
Hello, 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 everyone. I'm just wondering, how was y'all's week this week? It's lunchtime with Anna again. Check it out, check it out. So I got this awesome shirt, and I let Samori like pick the shirt this time. So he made like his own design, or not design, but he picked the colors and everything, which I absolutely love. So I was excited to talk about that. Um, so anyhow, we're starting a little bit late. I'm sorry, we had some technical difficulties. It happens from time to time with this whole computer stuff and with us transitioning. So I apologize about that. I wanted to remind you guys that this is National Apraxia Awareness Month. And if you guys look at my profile picture, it does actually say that it's National Apraxia Awareness Month. And what it is, because I wanted to make sure that you guys were educated on it, what it is the description of it is an inability to perform particular purposeful actions despite normal muscle strength and tone. So apraxia has to do with your speech. So you're not able to do certain sounds. So for example, if you try to make the T sound, the R sound comes up. So it's kind of like your muscle tone is lazy, when in all actuality, it isn't. So it takes a lot of therapy and stuff. A big round of applause to therapists and to the children that say that it's National Apraxia Day. My son has been diagnosed with apraxia. It is something that he does deal with daily. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, you know, it isn't something that will it can't be beat, you know, but you can sit here and try to make it better and make the best out of your situation. Also, I also wanted to remind you guys that this is, and where is the card? This is National Mental Health Awareness Month. This is so very important. I had a friend, classmate whom we recently lost, and obviously it was due, even though we don't know full details, to mental health awareness. And it has been something that's been recognized since May 1949. And I want you guys to know that mental health conditions is extremely important, as approximately 20% of the US population has some form of mental illness, and the most common being depression and anxiety. So please, if you're dealing with any type of mental health illness, please seek treatment, as it is something that many of us have had to fight, including myself, at one point or another in our lives. So it is very important to seek help. Today, I have Victoria here. Hi, Victoria. I'm happy to see you.
Yes.
Before we get started, so today the topic that I'm having is on lupus. It is also National Lupus Awareness Month, and I like to remind you guys of all these different things that go on every single month, so that you guys are aware and you guys can educate yourselves. I found that it was very important to have some people come in who deal with lupus, who have dealt with lupus, or are dealing or have made the best out of their condition. So the definition of lupus is any of various diseases or conditions marked by inflammation of the skin, especially lupus vulgaris or lupus. Can you help me with this? Erythematosus, is that right? So it's lupus of the blood, correct? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to have Victoria go ahead and Victoria, for some reason we're having feedback from your line. Could you lower it, maybe the volume a little bit? That may help. So Victoria, what I'm going to have you do is, the first thing, Yeah, it still has it. Let me see if I can lower mine a little bit. Hang on. In fact, hang on. Let me try to put on the headset. That might help. Victoria, can you hear me? Now I don't hear her. Victoria? Okay, so Victoria's coming, she's logged off, she's coming back in. So anyways, while she's doing that, Victoria's going to tell her story, and I think it's very important to have her. There she goes, she's coming back in. It's very important to have her come in and speak of lupus and her experience with it, because I thought her story was so incredible, and her strength, not only as a woman but as somebody who fights a disease that many times many of us don't think exists because you're not physically seeing the handicap. Victoria, if you could, and thank you for coming. Thank you for being my guest here at Lunchtime with Anna. I really appreciate you and your time. Um, what I wanted to start with is, as a child, did you have any symptoms that you can think back of? Because, I want to try to get people to understand that this is something that a lot of times, because it is autoimmune, it starts from childhood. Others don't feel it till later on in life. From the time that you were a child, did you feel anything that was like strange, like, mom, dad, I'm having these pains, or I'm having this go on, or anything like that?
Yes, first of all, I want to tell you, Anna, thank you for having me on the show. This is a wonderful opportunity to give awareness to the listening audience. Thank you all for joining in with us. And yes, as a child, I began to have problems with brain fog, nausea. I was nauseated a lot, dizziness. I even fainted as a child. I mean, just different things was happening in my childhood that was really unexplained. I was sick a lot. So I was a very sickly child. And compared to my brothers and sisters, everybody was doing good but me. And so I didn't know that a lot of what I was experiencing, because I was misdiagnosed. And we'll go further into more details of what those misdiagnoses were, leading up until this very day.
Okay. So it's kind of funny because a lot of times the doctors, so I think I shared with you when we interviewed before the show. I have epilepsy, of course, and it's something that, is lifelong or whatever. And it's something such as lupus that you don't see. It's like an invisible type disorder. So anyhow, when I was diagnosed with epilepsy, it took years. I would literally forget something small like paying an electric bill. Everybody around me was thinking I would lie when I'd be like, I don't remember. And I really did not remember, but it was because, and I have three different types of epilepsy. The good thing, and I thank God that I've been blessed enough to not have them all happen at any point in time, all at the same time, because it would cause a full-on convulsion type seizure, which are really, really bad. So
Yeah.
can you go on and explain, like, did these doctors make you feel like you were lying? Did they make your mom feel like she was a liar? How did that take place?
Okay. As a child, it was very confusing for me. So I don't know exactly how they made my mother feel or my father. Um, I just know that I was in and out of the hospital, seeing different doctors. I wind up actually even getting cancer at that time. And that's one of the things that is a result of lupus as well. It actually causes so much inflammation in the body that it sets the body up even for cancer. So the type of cancer that I had as a child was so rare that it was only found in Caucasian men, old Caucasian men. And here I am, the opposite of all of that, with a very rare cancer. And at first they diagnosed it as a cat scratch infection. And, I was taking a series of antibiotics. And of course, we know taking a lot of antibiotics, the body begins to become more and more immune to it. And then other complications start happening. So I dealt with different things like urinary tract infections. It even got so bad one time I had a liver and kidney infection, which hospitalized me. And all of this was a result of the lupus. I found out later being diagnosed. And when I look back into my childhood, I realized, wow, that explains why I was so sick, why I was always getting infections, why I was having trouble even concentrating in school, because I'm just thinking like, I'm different, I just didn't know what it was. And it just gave me a sense of, just understanding, okay, now that I can put, a diagnosis to it, now I can fight it. Now I can deal with it, even though in Western medicine, they say there's no cure for lupus. Well, of course, we know Dr. Sabi. I actually have a doctor, and I want to go into some details concerning her a little later in the show. And I know of several other doctors, who are holistic doctors who deal with natural medicine, who have actually been able to rid patients of lupus. So these things have been proven. The facts are out there. You can Google it, search. Um, so I know that, this is one of those type of disease that's very difficult to diagnose, with me being misdiagnosed so many times, countless times. I actually was diagnosed just 3 years ago, and I've been dealing with lupus. And my doctor shared with me, she said, you must have had this since you were a child. There's no way that this could be just starting now in your life. I'm looking at the results, the tests, and it shows me that you've had this since you were a child. And so that was, at the same time, it was scary, but somewhat of a relief, because now I knew what I was dealing with, and because I was just so confused.
Absolutely. So, Victoria, you said you just got diagnosed 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
May I ask your age?
Yes, I am 43 years old.
Wow. So at 43 years old, so at 40 years old, you're just getting diagnosed. You're dealing with all these aches and pains throughout your life, different
Yes.
symptoms that come and go. Cat scratch,
Infection.
infection is what they call it. So yeah, I am familiar with that. And fortunately for this interview, and I've been fortunate with many others, I do have medical background, so I am familiar with a lot of things. Is there anything else that the doctors throughout the years would be, in your adult? So let's go. Okay, so that was your youth. So let's go now to your adult life. Now you've probably gone to college. If you didn't go to college, you're out in the workforce. You're doing your thing out there.
Right.
What happens then? Like, what are the signs and symptoms?
Well,
what is your body feeling, I guess, to ask it in a more fair way?
Right. Okay. Well, I would still get the brain fog. I noticed that when I overly extended myself, I would just actually get sick. I would start aching all over, just feeling like I had the flu. I would get fevers, chills. I would be cold, and then I'd be hot. Migraines, really, really bad migraines. And I was even diagnosed with migraines with aura. And so that was another diagnosis, that just hit the surface, but not going deep enough into why, why am I having migraines? Where are these migraines coming from? And that's one of the symptoms among many others with people who deal with lupus. And the type of lupus that I have been diagnosed with is the systematic lupus. And basically, it's an autoimmune disease that attacks natural tissues, organs, so anywhere in the body can be affected by it. So when the inflammation is high, and it's on the brain, that's what causes the forgetfulness, the fog. And so I'm a poet as well. So I do poetry, spoken word. And so that's what I love to do. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was on stage performing and I forgot my lines. I was like, oh my God. And that never happened to me. And that was so scary because now here I'm doing something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy sharing. I minister through my art. And now I'm stuck, you know. And I had to turn down speaking engagements. You know, people would ask me to speak on different things. And I was just so afraid because I felt like I would lose my train of thought. And, you know, I dealt with a lot. It was very stressful. Started having issues with hypoglycemia where my blood sugar would drop. I wasn't able to fast. And that's something that I truly believe in, being a Muslim in the Nation of Islam, you know, and How to Eat to Live by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's a wonderful book. And I couldn't even follow the guidance that, you know, I believe in because here I am so sick that I can't even fast. And so it was a bit stressful for me at that time, you know, and very confusing. And because I'm such a firm believer in God and I have such a firm foundation when it comes down to faith, I never gave up. You know, I've always known that there isn't a disease known to man that the earth does not have a cure. So I knew that the cure was out there and I knew I would be okay, but it was just a matter of time, you know, before I could find it and be successful with it. So
So, and again, I'm going to go through your adult years because that's pretty scary that you're having all these symptoms. And of course, obviously, because of my epilepsy, I do understand what migraines are. I get them a lot throughout the month. I get it. And then auras make me feel almost like they were almost saying you had undiagnosed epilepsy, because that's a lot of times what they'll diagnose it as until they can actually get a true EEG to say this is epilepsy. Now,
wow.
these signs and symptoms that you have mimic a lot of Lyme disease. Were you ever diagnosed with Lyme disease?
Never diagnosed with Lyme disease.
Good. That's good, because you know what you're telling me mimics a lot. And I would think that being in Georgia, there's a lot of deers out there. There are ticks. We have tick season, which just so happens to be around now. And I'm surprised they didn't say, oh, this seems to mimic Lyme disease. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
when you would go in and they would give you all these different diagnoses, what was there something, you know, in your prayer, or in your inner self that was saying, this is wrong. This is not what's going on with you. Keep seeking. Or
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, Anna. And that is certainly a good point that you're making there, because I would go to the emergency room, just be really, really sick. My blood pressure would be up. My blood sugar would be down, just totally imbalanced and just really concerned about my health. And so a lot of times the doctors would just put medicine in my hand. And one time I remember my grandmother drove me to the hospital. I was just so very sick. And the doctor was giving me different medicines, just putting pills in my hand, saying, just in case it's this. Basically, he was not sure what was going on, but he just filled my hand up with so many, like a rainbow of different, you know, medicines. And so when he stepped out of the room, I was so frustrated. I just took the medicine, I threw it in the trash, because I knew that he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what was going on with me. And it was just confusing. And I'm like, why am I going to take all this medicine and then maybe have a reaction to the medicine, and then I'm in even worse shape? And so my grandmother, she was very like looking at me like, what are you doing? You're in the emergency room. This doctor is here to help you. And she didn't understand, you know, she knew not what I understand about the Western medicine. And being that he wasn't sure what was going on, I just couldn't, you know, take, you know, the medicines that he was given, because he probably wouldn't be sure of the reaction that it would cause. So I've dealt with situations like that, going back and forth with doctors, telling me I had to have some type of evasive treatment for certain type of infections. And the studies that I personally did, because I do a lot of studying, I'm very in tune with my body. And that's very important with a person who is diagnosed with lupus, because they call it the disease of many faces. And so it can take on, yes, different characteristics. It can affect different parts of the body. So you just have to truly be in tune with your body, study. And meditation is so very important. And I understand that, stress, okay, that's one thing that causes flares. And so those out there, even in your condition that you are, I'm not going to say your condition because it doesn't belong to you. And I think that sometimes we have to not claim, these diseases because they don't belong to us. We have to find a way to just really truly let them go. And I found that through meditation, I'm able to do that. I'm able to step away from it, take those, deep breaths and do those exercises that help to center my chakras and allow me to be able to receive balance and healing. And so this is what I'm doing now. And it's been a long, hard journey. However, I am so very grateful with the different natural remedies that I use on a daily basis in order to manage the lupus. And eventually, God willing, I'll be free of lupus one day.
So I want to go to that, but I want to wait a little while to go to
Okay,
that because I
right.
just love that part of the story. And you're absolutely right. And of course, I don't claim epilepsy. I do mention, and I've been more open about it here these recent years, or since I started being on the radio, I've been more open about my epilepsy. I was embarrassed about it because
Mm.
a lot of times I really I don't remember. Like, it's something as simple as running an errand. I totally
Wow.
forgot. Something as simple
Been
as
there.
I'll tell people I'm going to call you right back. I totally forget. And it's things like that it's just it should be so simple, but
Mm.
I forget. Sometimes I'm in the middle of talking on one of the shows, and that's why people will notice I write a lot. But it's because I have to go ahead and try to remember, especially when I've had a seizure the night before, which happens very commonly. They've managed to get mine at least a lot under control. It was really bad at one point. I just thank God because, like I say, conditions like this that are unseen, I think people have a harder time at understanding this is really a lifelong disability. This person really has to deal with it. One of the things that I've do a lot is I meditate. I fast a lot, such as yourself, and I want to make something perfectly clear to our listening audience. When I spoke to Victoria, it was like two peas in a pod, man. Like we just clicked. And I told her, I said, man, you just seem like I just trust that we're not going to have a crazy interview, because any of you guys that know me or know how I am, I'm OCD, especially like the producer of the show knows I'm OCD. Like my show has to be perfect. If not, I start losing it. So anyhow, so as we're talking and I'm listening to her, I'm like, wow. So when you would have these aches and pains, and I just say it because epilepsy a lot of times gives people neuropathy. They're diagnosed a lot of times with neuropathy, obviously because of the shocks to the brain, it makes your nerves go crazy. So it causes neuropathy, right? Within time. Were you ever diagnosed with anything like that? Neuropathy or similar?
Okay. Right. I haven't been diagnosed with it. However, I do believe that I've experienced that. And it just has not been diagnosed yet because I don't, go to the doctors as often as those, others with the disease lupus. And because of the reason why I don't go is because I've seen so many people who have been going to the doctors and taking those medicines and having the adverse reaction and, just different side effects I'm really trying to do the best I can to avoid, taking Western medicine. I only take it when I feel necessary, and I'm grateful to be able to do that. But sometimes it gets really bad. I do have to go to the hospital, and I do have to take, the prednisone and, the other pain medicines and stuff, nausea, just to get back on track and get some kind of relief. And then I just go back to my natural herbs and, that type of thing.
Sure.
However, I have experienced the symptoms of neuropathy. And if I went to a doctor, I'm almost sure that they would diagnose me with that, because I've had it where my skin just, felt like it's just burning all
On
over,
fire.
my
Literally on
joints.
fire.
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, you literally, yes, on the inside and out. So I know I'm
Absolutely.
dealing with, yes, those nerve issues with neuropathy.
Which, of course, comes with anything that deals with your blood system. And, it would make sense to me. My thing was, and to me, it was insane. I had to
Hmm.
change neurologists because literally, and I don't know how it's been for you, literally, I would get prescribed gabapentin, Percocets, this, that. I'm not a person that likes taking medication. Obviously, I have to
Right.
take my seizure medication because I
Yes.
can really hurt somebody and hurt myself
Yes. Yes.
behind the wheel.
Understand.
So it's things I have to do, at least at this point in my journey with what I'm
Yes.
dealing with until I
Right.
can find something better. But I
Mhm.
was like, first of all, I'm allergic to pain medication. I can't take it. And then the gabapentin, it was like literally, it would inflame my liver. I would literally feel pain on that side. And
Wow.
then I had to take 800 milligrams. That's a lot of medication. 4 times a day. That's a lot of medication.
That's
I
a
couldn't
lot.
function.
Wow.
I couldn't function, plus
Wow.
the Percocets, plus this, plus that. And then you wonder why there's this opioid, anyways, that's a whole different show. But
Right. Wow.
you're dealing with all of this. And
Hmm.
one day I just got up and I said, I'm not taking any of this stuff anymore. I don't, I can be in pain. Sometimes people will notice I kind of limp when I walk, but I pray to my Father and I thank him, and I thank him for his mercy, because I'm able to give a testimony of saying, obviously, like I said, I have to take my seizure medication, but I
Right.
don't take any of that other extra stuff. I do have a lot of pain. And now I want to go into what it was you were talking about, because I do cook with a lot of ginger and turmeric. That's
Mhm.
what stops a lot of that swelling in my body.
Right.
Um, so with that being said, I turn around and I'm like, okay, what okay, I would ask myself, and I'm sorry, Victoria, I lost myself there for a second. I would ask myself, what can I do to make this better without taking these medications? And I just so happened to run into something of Dr. Sebi. That's so funny that you say that, because I'm
Right.
like, okay, so I started out with cleansing out my mucus and my mucus system, and y'all do it. Just be cautious that you might not like what comes out of there. Okay,
Yeah.
but I started detoxing. We'll give the clean version.
Right.
I started detoxing.
Right.
I started eating healthier. I'm not gonna lie, I'm human. I like to eat. I cheat from time to time, so
Mm. Right.
I do cheat, and I like to eat, but overall, I try changing my eating habits. Now, I want you to go ahead and talk about what it is that, after getting all these diagnoses, after getting all this different medication, which the pharma wants you taking these medications. Doctors get credits for you taking the medication that they're giving you
Right.
through the
Absolutely.
what is it, the people that actually go there and give them the medication for them to get to the patients to try. I forget what you call them. So once
Yeah, the
all that
pharmacist.
starts happening and you get that diagnosis and you're like, what do you say then? With all the medication, so forth, so on.
Okay. What the last part of your question? I didn't clearly hear that part. The last part of the question.
Once you get your diagnosis, right?
Right.
Of the lupus. You're taking all this medication, you're taking the prednisone, you're taking pain medication, so forth, so on. You try not to take the medication, of course, because of your beliefs religiously and what you feel, but your spirit is telling you that's right and that's wrong. What do you do then?
Absolutely. And that's a wonderful question because this gets into the resolution, because oftentimes, people are so just confused because it's so much of the problem that they see, the diagnosis, the symptoms, and all of
Absolutely.
that. And it could be so scary, and so it's so important to give hope. And so I'm glad you asked the question because there are natural remedies out there that I have tried that I use on a daily basis that has helped me to manage lupus and to become much more healthier than I was. Like, wow, this time a couple of years ago, I was in a really, really bad situation. It was hard for me to even, walk around. 3 years ago, it was even worse, because I was so dizzy, so nauseated, just had hardly any energy. I was just zapped of my energy. Even to speak clearly, I would stutter so bad because the inflammation was so bad in my brain that it caused me to stutter, and it was just really, really rough. So now, after getting diagnosed, by the doctor that I saw, and she's a natural doctor, and she said, I know in Western medicine, there is no cure, but she basically told me and assured me that she was going to put me on a program and I was going to be fine. And so I looked at her in the eyes and she held my hand and she said, are you okay? And I said, yes. And I could just feel the true, love and compassion of a doctor who
Absolutely.
truly cares. And so I felt comfortable and I felt like, okay, God, Allah is answering my prayers. And so I'm a very, faithful person. And I began using the natural remedies and the natural way and approach that she gave me. Of course, it was certain times where she had to, tweak things a little bit and, give me some prednisone or, some pain medicine here and there. But, she knew that I didn't want to take those type of medicines, that I really wanted to do natural. So she really tried, she put something together that would work for me. And I began to have improvements. Yes.
Victoria, we're going to pause for 1 second. We have a caller that's on the phone. Caller, go
Oh,
ahead with your
wonderful.
name. Huh? Caller, go ahead with your name, with your question and or your comment. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is Rhonda. I'm sorry I'm joining in on the show so late. I was trying to get a feel of exactly what you guys were talking about because it is so late that I'm joining in. I know that the show today is on lupus and everything, so if you don't mind, can I just listen for a minute?
Of course. I want to let everyone know that Rhonda is the first lady at the church College Park. It is the church that I am the assistant to the pastor to. Andrew Dove is her husband. So this is Rhonda Dove. She's also been diagnosed with lupus. And of course, Rhonda, you can listen in, and when you're ready, just let me know and we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and we'll go back, and answer your question or listen to your question or your comment and so forth, so on. So Victoria,
Okay,
back
thank
to
you.
you. So this natural doctor, are you willing to say her name or no?
Yes. Her name is Dr. Ascari.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
once this Dr. Ascari, turns around and she gives you hope, um, you try not to take any medication because, of course, the side effects are worse than actually taking the medication. Once she turns around and she starts to help you with your symptoms or whatever, how long does it take for you to actually feel improvement within your body and you're like, this is working? I'm not feeling these fogs as much. I'm not feeling the inflammation as much. How long does it take for this process to take place?
It took about, I would say, about 3 weeks before I started noticing a difference. And those 3 weeks seem like almost forever. When you're going through so much, it took about 3 weeks, and it was a gradual improvement.
That's a fact, because you
Hmm.
got to do a comparison of 40 years of
Hmm. Right,
having signs and symptoms since you were a child, kept getting
hmm,
misdiagnosed, probably missed out on a lot of fun stuff, and
right,
then
absolutely.
here you go at 40 years old. 3 weeks later, you're already. You said three, right?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Three
Hmm.
weeks later, you're already feeling better.
Hmm.
Um, through natural remedies. Do you
Yeah.
mind speaking of what they were, or would you rather skip on that because I know we're going to be talking about something else in just a little while?
Yes, I certainly, I don't mind speaking on them. I wish I had the list with me right now of what she prescribed that was all natural. It was a different type of, like you spoke about the detox, getting rid of parasites in the body. I know I was taking something dealing with parasites, um, taking things dealing with um, allergies, because even when you're dealing with lupus, you also begin to develop a lot of different allergies as well. So she was working on that, working on my gut flora, making sure the healthy bacteria, was, in my digestive system. She put me on a alkaline water, and that was very helpful because they helped to remove a lot of the inflammation in my body. I began to drink, like what you mentioned earlier on the show. The ginger is very, very good at relieving the body of inflammation or helping to remove inflammation, as well as that turmeric.
Yeah.
She put me on natokinase, as well. Um, and that is something that's really, really good for the heart, very good for, the removal of inflammation in the body as well. And I know there was a couple or a few other herbs and vitamins that I was taking. I don't recall right now. I'm not taking them anymore. Um, but I know that they were very, very helpful to me. And like I said, it was a gradual process. But yes, when you look at that timeline of how long I was experiencing these symptoms and not having any relief, and things just happening, more and more symptoms and more medical problems, that's a significant short period of time in order to reap some relief. So I knew that I was in the right place at the right time, and I was on a journey towards, feeling better and truly having a testimony, whereas I can help others.
Absolutely. And that's what to me is just like the greatest part.
Yes.
So you guys, I want to let the listening audience hear then what it is now at this point where Victoria, well, do you want to speak a little bit more, because I know we mentioned this, about the natural healing doctor whom helped you get to this point that you're at now, health wise?
Okay. Yes. And thank you for bringing that up as well. I appreciate it. Yes, because I would say that this doctor is a very good doctor, based on her reputation. I was actually, referred to her by a good friend of mine. And so, and there's so many other people who I know had this doctor, and she really helped them. There was proven results in the work that she was doing, and she was one. She didn't look at patients. Unfortunately, there are doctors out there that look at patients as being numbers, and it's more important that they get paid for writing a bunch of prescriptions and just fattening the pockets of big pharma. And she's not that type of doctor, and that made me feel comfortable with her. However, the reason why I say, she was my doctor is because she actually, and I'm gonna, before I go into that part, I'm gonna say that we have a problem here dealing with these natural doctors and how they are being mistreated. Some of them are being, murdered, some ostracized, just put, just spoken of in such a way as if they're doing something wrong by helping to, I don't want to use the word cure because they say, oh, it's not a cure. And maybe that could kind of get them, in some type of, brings a certain type of negative light to them. However, they are, helping to rid people of different medical problems that they're saying there is no cure for. And they're actually having testimonies, people saying that, no, I don't have lupus anymore after seeing this doctor. Dr. Sabia is also one of those doctors, who was able to remove certain diseases from the body that was unheard of, like AIDS, lupus, um,
Absolutely.
just a lot of different type of diseases, herpes, and what is
Cancer.
that? Sickle cell, cancer. Yes, the list goes on.
Diabetes. Yes.
Right. And he was attacked for that, for being a good
Absolutely.
doctor, helping people, healing people. And he was attacked for that. And of course, when you really look at things and you connect the dots, it's clear to me that he was murdered. It's clear to me today that my doctor was pointed out, and they looked at her and decided to remove her due to the fact that she was truly helping people and getting results. So she's actually incarcerated and was given 10 years in federal prison time. And so she needs, our voices to speak out for her. There is a petition that is on my Facebook page. And my Facebook page is Victoria X Whipple, as the name that you see on the screen. You'll see my picture, and I'm wearing a yellow scarf. On page, you'll see, and I'll refresh it and put the petition. Um, today I'll repost the petition. So that if you're able to help, and sign that petition and try to bring some light to this situation that she's going through, because she doesn't deserve to be behind bars. She's a very good doctor, and she has a lot of good, just people that know the work that she's done and testimonies to the work that she's done. I am one. I know the work that she's done for me, and I am so grateful for her, and whatever I can do and whatever the listening audience is able to do to help her, I would strongly encourage that, because helping her is helping many, because she's a doctor who truly cares about the people and truly wants to see us be successful and overcome different diseases that they are saying, or the Western medicine is saying, that there's no cure for. There is.
Absolutely. Rhonda, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
I just wanted to know if you wanted to add anything to that, or because I know Rhonda personally, so I know Rhonda does not like taking her medication. I've seen the swelling that she goes through. I'm not sure what she's okay or not okay with me mentioning. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that?
Well, Miss Victoria has said so much, and I know so very little about lupus. I only know what I've experienced. And as you know, I was just diagnosed at the end of 2017 with and I had a hard time acceptance. I didn't think I did, but I just recently I totally accepted the fact that I actually have lupus, and all of the ailments that comes along with it, and all the swelling and stuff. my limitations. I'm just coming to grips with all that. And I did from the very jump have a problem with taking the medication. And the thing is that I know that if I was diagnosed properly in my early 20s, I would have immediately started taking the medication, because I did not think about things back then the way I think about things now, and the fact that doctors are out to make money and writing prescriptions makes them money, and the more prescriptions they write, the more money they make. And without even, because I know my first rheumatologist that I had, she honestly was like, "I'm not going to work with you because you will not follow protocol."
Is it
So I did her. She fired me. But in all honesty, she was a good doctor.
Rhonda?
She cared, but she wanted me to take the medication that I was not willing to take. So I have my daughters, my oldest daughter. She takes a lot of natural. She's called a naturalist. Is that what it's called? A natural doc. Yeah, she's for natural remedies and everything. And so she started reading more about different natural herbs that has helped with swelling. I also have a cousin that has Sjögren's disease and has other.
Rhonda,
You see the natural. Yes.
Rhonda,
Hello.
Rhonda. Is that
Yeah.
my signal
Yeah, I'm having a really
or is
bad.
that her?
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, because you're coming in and out. So can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Okay. Which part of it?
And so you were talking about your oldest daughter that she has she think that she does a lot of natural remedies. That's pretty much what we heard. After that, I lost you.
Okay, so yeah, she did a lot of research and found a lot of natural remedies, and right now she has me drinking this stuff called golden milk, which helps me relax. It helps with swelling. It has raw ginger in it and turmeric and pepper, and I mean it's really good. It helps me sleep mostly. And with having lupus, I did not even know this before. Why I did not. It has affected my kidneys. It has. I have arthritis. I have a low. What is it called? Bradycardia, where I have a low heart rate. There's so many things that I am just learning about lupus. And once I start accepting the fact that this is something that I actually have and I have to learn to live with it, the only thing is I'm still not willing to take the medication. The medication that was prescribed to me causes more issues. I felt like it causes more issues than I was actually having. So the side effects was not worth it to me. And especially once I found out that the medication, that there was a gentleman that was diagnosed in McDonough with lupus, and he started taking the medication, and he died within a year.
Absolutely.
And I had some odd years and never taken any medication, and I'm still, not that I'm getting any better at anything, but I'm learning, I'm dealing.
Absolutely. Rhonda, I want you to stay online because I want you to listen to what Victoria is going to say now, which is the next step. And I think it's very important for the listening audience to listen to what she has to say. And I do have a comment here from a Facebook user, which is Rico Jackson. He would like for you, Victoria, to share the doctor's name again and all information regarding her case. Rico, Victoria is going to share the link, and I'm going to share it on my page, on my Lunchtime with Anna and on my regular page. This way we can turn around and make sure that you guys are able to see and sign the petition, because this doctor is doing 10 years federal prison time practically for helping patients. So I don't know the full details. All I know is that is what her sentence was. Victoria, are you still there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, Victoria. So can you go ahead and for people like Rhonda who would really benefit from this, and probably myself as well, can you please let everybody know what it is that you plan on doing now to help people with lupus across the nation, across the state, and hopefully around the world?
And thank you so much for your question. That's certainly very, very relevant. And when I spoke about earlier of finding resolutions, being able to, because we know we have a problem here. Lupus is a problem. It can be solved. I have no doubt about that. I've been able to live a better life now. A lot of the things that I wasn't able to do before, using the natural approach, I'm able to do now. So I have a new lease on life, and I'm so very grateful. And I just contributed to the earth and what Almighty God has given us in the earth in order to heal and restore our bodies. So I would like to share that with the listening audience and with the world, what I actually take on a daily basis. And I'm putting together a more like a vitamin, or herbal. It's going to be a vegetarian capsule, and it's going to have a number of different type of herbal remedies all in one capsule that I take on a daily basis. And when I finish patenting that, I'm going to be able to have that available to the world so that you all can benefit as I am every day taking this natural approach, because people just need answers. They need to know what to do, what to take. I've had friends, so many of them call me with different, people that they love that they say are, really having a hard time with lupus. And because they look at me and they're like, you don't seem like you're sick at all. The way you move, what are you doing? And they're like, can you help my niece? Can you help my daughter? Can you help my aunt? And I'm naming women because it 80% of people who have lupus, is somewhere around that number, are really minorities, women of childbearing age, and so that's something else to study into, because there's something about that that doesn't sit well with me. However, I'm putting together a formula, that is going to be available to the public. And it's things that I take every day, herbal remedies that I take every day. And I'm going to put it all together in one vegetarian capsule that can be taken daily, and you will begin to experience benefits. And not only is it good for people with lupus, but any autoimmune disease, because we're dealing with, inflammation in the body, and that inflammation can wreak havoc on our systems. And so we have a lot of different type of ailments that can come about due to an abundance of inflammation in the body, and the body attacking its own self. Autoimmune disease is like the body does not recognize its own cells, healthy organs, healthy tissue. It's actually attacking those things. And even, of course, we know the skin is our biggest organ. We have a certain type of lupus that actually deals with, attacking the skin. So it's a really tough, thing to be diagnosed with. And these symptoms are very real. And I'm just so grateful that I am doing so much better. And, it just helps me when I'm able to help others. And so when I hear people, come to me with their stories, or my niece or my cousin or my aunt or whomever is experiencing these things, can you help her? And then I just give them, simple help, simple advice, things that these doctors don't say, they don't tell you. And they come back to me with results, and they're just so grateful, thanking me, like, thank you so much for helping me. I've been dealing with this for so many years, and I'm finally getting some results from what you just shared. And that just warms my heart, because I know I'm doing something right by making a difference in the lives of people who don't deserve to go through, these type of things. I mean, if we could just all be healed in an instant, that would be a beautiful thing. However, it is a reality. It's something that we have to face, and it's something that can be, you can live, you can manage lupus, and you also can be cured of lupus. And it's hard for me to skirt around that word cure. However, I just have to bear witness to the truth. Some are diagnosed with lupus, and a couple of years or maybe even a few months later, the lupus is gone. And it's all about knowing what to do, how to do it, why to do it. Just really, like I said earlier, being in tune with your body, studying, because we just can't listen to what a doctor has to say. Sometimes we know, and I've heard a doctor that just a regular doctor that I see every now and then, she said, you know more about lupus than me, because I was telling her stuff that she had no idea about. And that's been my story as well, even going to the emergency rooms, doctors not knowing what's going on with me. And I would, tell them, look, I just need you to write this particular prescription because I'm already ready. I already in my mind, I know what I need. And
Absolutely.
yes, so we just have to. So I will have that particular um, remedy available to the public this time next month. So I will get back with you, God willing, Anna, and yes, and then we can share that with the public. So I want to definitely be able to help you all. And I want to say, Rhonda, thank you so much, and I look forward to meeting you in person. I think you're a remarkable woman with a lot of courage, because it does take courage to take a stand and say, hey, look, I'm not going to take all of these medicines. And, this is not good for me. And there's got to be another way, so you have to have faith. And the same thing with you, Anna, just being able to have your testimony because you took a stand, and said, no, I'm not going to keep taking medicines that are causing me, to be sicker. I mean, we
Absolutely.
just really have to, look out for one another, encourage one another with what we know, and spread the word so people can know that there's hope out there. And so that's what I intend to do with my herbal remedy that I'm working on right now. And God willing, again, it will be available to the public this time next month.
Absolutely. And Victoria, thank you so much for coming in.
My
Rhonda,
pleasure.
thank you for taking out of your time to kind of give a little more detail of what it is that you go through or whatever. We ran out of time. This was a great show and very educational. I want you guys to know that Victoria will be back. I will be having her come back with her natural herb supplement that she is in the she's in the
Process.
process of having patented for for all of us, to help all of us. She will share with me on the link with the natural herb doctor that helped her out, whom is now serving a federal prison time. And if you guys could take a few seconds to sign, those petitions take no time to sign. Okay. Before leaving, I wanted to read something to you guys as quick as possible. On Exodus 23:25, it says, worship the Lord your God, and his blessing will be on your food and water. I will take away sickness from among you. The good news, the Lord gives back to those who believe in his goodness. So let's not forget that always seeking our Father, we cannot lose. Okay, so just
That's right.
seek him, fast, and just continue to pray and have faith. Lupus is something that just comes in so many shapes, forms, and matter. And I want you guys to know that I love each and every one of you guys. I pray for each and every one of you guys. And Rhonda, I love you dearly. And, I hate these times where I see her inflamed and you could just tell that she's in pain, but she's just such a strong lady. And I hope that maybe you and Victoria can get together and take some of those supplements that really can help you out. God bless each and every one of you guys. I will be back next Wednesday with a show on mental health. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday on Lunchtime with Anna. Ciao.